The other one I wanted to talk about quick with this was cost segregation. I think Max mentioned it briefly, but how cost segregation works is that, generally, if you have like a long-term rental, it's going to be depreciated over 27.5 years. Now, a short-term rental is going to be depreciated. It's going to be looked at as a commercial property and depreciated over a longer time frame of 39 years. But cost segregation study, you're basically an engineering study that looks at the property and breaks it down into its parts. And some of those parts are looked at on a shorter depreciation schedule. It could be 15 years and 5 years, depending on the part of the property. And those shorter depreciation schedule type assets could be eligible for bonus depreciation. Now, in 2023, bonus depreciation is at 80%. Last year is at 100%. Next year it'll be at 60%. Then it'll be 40, 20, and 0. So it's phasing out unless there's some law change, and there are some in the works. But currently, it's being phased out like 20% every year. But what bonus depreciation would allow you to do is in 2023, those assets that are on that shorter depreciation schedule could be depreciated 80% in that 1 year. So generally, it's usually like 30% of the property is a kind of a rule of thumb for how much is going to qualify for bonus depreciation. So if you have like $1 million property and they do a cost segregation study on it, about $300,000 worth of it is usually going to be eligible. But obviously, it depends on the property and the situation. But and then as a bookkeeper, when you get a cost segregation study like report, you're going to see that your job for entering depreciation just got a little bit more difficult and entering the asset, because rather than just entering building land, you have like 40 different parts of the building all added up that you have to put in a journal entry rather than just 2 lines. You're gonna have like 40, but yeah, that's something to consider when you do the books on a cost segregation study.